the last thing I want to talk about today is what I alluded to earlier about being simplistic. I'm more turned on by, in a playing sense, by limitations than I am by options. If you put a bunch of guitars in front of me, if you put a bunch of pedals in front of me, I just kind of don't know what to do. But if you just, put a guitar on me and I plug in, I'm more inspired that way. It's not for everybody, and also I think that it's important to find what is comfortable for you, because so often in music we look at what someone else does and we think to ourselves, oh, well, we have to do it the way this person does it. No, you should do what feels comfortable to you. A great example of that is, when I was a kid, I, like a million other guitarists, I particularly have large hands. Not all guitarists do, but, I play with my thumb over the top like many others do, and I chord that way, and that's the way I grip the guitar, because that's what was comfortable to me. But like early on, a teacher, taught me in a classical sense, wanting me to have it like this, which is not comfortable to me. And it's like, that's a rather small example of, you've got to find what it feels comfortable to you, because I think that you'll progress a lot more and you'll be more creative than if you're always in pursuit of what someone else has done necessarily. But in regards to the guitar itself, and not using a bunch of effects or anything, just understanding the fundamentals of the instrument, in that, obviously, with the volume control, I can go from rather clean to a little bit more, to a little more, to full out. And that's how I choose to kind of, regardless of the amplifier I'm using, I turn it all the way up, and doesn't necessarily have to be what I'm getting known for, like, 50 or 100 watt Marshalls or something like that. It can be like this. It achieves it's the same principle. And using this to kind of run the level of gain that I'm using. But then the thing I want to talk about, and that I'll close with in regards to this, is the way that you pick makes a huge difference on the way something sounds. Because if you, obviously with attack, you can, on a medium setting, I can, you've got a dynamic range just in the way that you pick, but also tonally where you pick, because it's going to be rounder the closer you get to the neck, and it gets sharper and stingier up by when you get closer to the bridge. So and that whole thing, you've got a whole range of things that you can do in there that it's up to you, and again, nuance, and then obviously, tone controls and pickup selections and all those kind of things, they play a part as well. But just, I talk about, the strength in the left hand, which I think is really important with being able to grab notes and have good hand strength. But then, the other element is your right hand. And for me personally, when I was having to play all that really fast stuff, I had a really heavy-handed right hand, and I actually went to like lighter gauge strings and lowered my action a little bit to actually try and combat that, because if I bared down too hard, I was going to break strings. And now I have much more control over this hand than I used to. the thing that I want, I always try and impart when I speak or do something like this is, music is supposed to be fun. It's supposed to express something, and if it's not doing that, then just take a deep breath and try and find a place within yourself that you can do that. And aside from actually performing and playing music to other people, to me, I think that the principles, like I've said all throughout this hour, about phrasing and finger vibrato and essentially kind of control over the instrument, those things, you'll never get amazing at them. I think it's a never-ending path. I think it's something that can always use improvement. It's something I'm very aware of and something that I work on. And like I said, I think that it's something that's a bit overlooked in the modern context of playing, and I think it's very important. And if nothing else, again, getting back to when I was speaking earlier, from a depthful place, is when you play music, try and open your heart and have it not be so much that there's a barrier between you and the people that you're communing with, because I think that the beauty that can enrich you as a musician and also as a listener, as a music fan, will be only enriched greatly by just allowing that human element of not being so closed. And I commend all of the beautiful things that are in this world, and I tend to be somewhat of an optimist, and I think that there will always be problems, but for some reason, one of the reasons why I think music is so important in our culture is because it's the only time that we as collections of people can get together, and all those things hopefully are not apparent. So take that with you. God bless you all. I hope to get to play with you sometime in the future, and much obliged. Remember, let's show the way, okay?
Thank you, JD.